Good evening. The youth of Ghana constitute our major source of human capital for a Ghana beyond aid. It is for this reason and many more that is why the Akufo-Addo's government has taken audacious, innovative and great effort to implement policies and programs that nurtures and empowers the youth for a sustainable economy, a prosperous nation, and to ensure no one is left behind. This is Majority Caucus on your JoyNews TV. Tonight, we are going to discuss how the policies and programs of the president have affected the youth, you actually. The composition of the panel for today's program is strategic. We will be joined by a dynamic and a learned young man from the office of the president and an industrious and hardworking young man who is from an authority responsible for you, the youth. My name is Frederick Kofi Ameyao. I am your host. We will take a break. When we return, I will introduce you to these wonderful young adults. Welcome back. Again, this is Majority Caucus. Let me begin with Let me start by introducing my wonderful guest. To my immediate left is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority. We call her Cozy. She's a Menu Mrs. actually. And then to my extreme left is our learned friend and colleague. He is the Assistant Secretary to the President and Legal Advisor as well to the President. His name is Mr. Cole. Let me begin with you. We have 11 days to a very important elections, okay? How do you think the youth of Ghana is embracing the need to protect our progress and the fact that they need to give form more to His Excellency to do more for them?
All right, Kofi, thank you very much for the opportunity and a good evening to the viewers at home and online, social media. I think that this election is a very important election. It's an election that concerns the future of Ghana, but most importantly, it concerns the future of the youth of Ghana. We cannot take it for granted that having been given a constitutional right to vote, we would just disregard that right and sit at home or not take an active part in what is going on or what's going to happen in 11 days. Because here we have two people contesting for office of president, both of whom have sat on the seat of the presidency. Mm-hmm. And we can compare how their policies had an impact or an effect on the lives of Ghanaians and most importantly, the youth. And throughout the program, we'll definitely go through some of the policies that President Akufo-Addo's administration has rolled out for the benefit of the youth. And you would see that the policies are such that it gives every young person in Ghana, a fighting chance, an opportunity on the global stage to do or achieve their God-given potential. Good. And so if you have a president who has given such an opportunity to young people in Ghana to be able to achieve their God-given potential, not only in Ghana, but on the global stage.
We will come to that.
You definitely have to protect that sort of progress. Good. So that is one of the things that I think that every young person needs to have in mind with these last 11 days to go.
Thank you. So, of course, let me come to you. You've been involved with the youth. You'll be canvassing for votes, involving the youth, engaging the youth, and you have even a movement called the Good Woman Vote. How do you think the youth, the millennials, how do you think they are accepting the fact that there's a need for us to consolidate our gains and maintain an Adudankwa Akufo-Addo?
Thank you very much, Frederick. Good evening to your viewers watching us at home. In between communicating for government and also working in a public institution that directly engages with the youth, it goes without saying that youth are particularly interested in policies that affects them. And beyond that, they are also concerned about what the future holds for them. Now, one of the things that I believe this administration, particularly the President Akufo-Addo, has done is to tailor policy that addresses the plight of the youth in two areas. One, that it improves ease of life, and secondly, it reduces the burden on parents or wards. Now, most of us know this, that when it comes to Africa, and particularly even with black professionals around the world, we're saddled with what we call the black tax, where a black professional would have to use their earnings to take care of their direct family members or extended family. And this is something that most people go through. So you have a young person who's working, okay, has gotten a job. In between worrying about their rent, they are also worried about the occasional demands from mother or father or brother who's still in school, or a cousin or a nephew, knowing how close-knit our family system is. So policies that are, in terms of our manifesto, if you take the no guarantor system, if you take the rent scheme that we outlined in the manifesto, you realize that it considers what people actually go through in life. You finish university and you are expected to find a job. Once you're looking for a job, once you get that job, you're expected to move out of the home, especially if you're a male, and find a safe place to live. Now, the thing is, this administration is saying that you don't need to have 30,000 cedis in your bank account to get a decent place to live. We are going to put those measures in place and facilitate the process for you. What it means for your parent is that they don't need to worry about taking money out of their savings. You notice that some people start life a bit late. I still have friends guys in their mid-30s who are yet to start families. You realize that, as Cole rightfully said, the stress on the youth the intention is to reduce that stress so that you don't...
Because I would want us to go into the specifics later. I just wanted to have a general overview. Of the feeling of...
Okay, I was looking at the time since we started late, but
so, let me go into that quickly. Okay. So, the composition of the panel is very strategic for a very good reason, because you come from the office of the president. You are his legal advisor, okay? You are close to him. Tell us, when you look at the kitchen cabinet of the president, you will see a lot of young people in it. The deputy chief of staffs, Samuel Abujinapo, my very good friend Francis Asensobuachi, the director of communications, Eugene, his deputy, and Fatima, and all of that. Why do you think the president has surrounded himself with young people?
Now that's a very excellent observation that you made. If you come to the office of the president, the key people that on a day-to-day basis, are working with the president are composed of very experienced people and also young people that the president is nurturing. So, for instance, myself, I work in his secretariat. There's also Hamida Nuhu, who is also a young lawyer from WA. Like you mentioned, Eugene Ahin, who is the director of communications, and the two deputy chiefs of staff, and Fatih Abubakar, who is also the deputy director of communications. We're all essentially very young people, and Napagatia Suleimana. And what the president has done is he has brought us on board to nurture us, because he believes that, the future of this country is in our youth. And we have to ensure that they get the right kind of experience, they get the right kind of exposure, so that when the mantle is handed over to the young people, they'll be able to take decisions that are correct and in line with the vision for Ghana. I'll tell you, there are quite a number of times when world leaders or business leaders have come to see the president, and they are amazed at how he has surrounded himself with very young people. I recall there was one occasion where a business leader came to see the president, and after he had introduced his side of the delegation, the president introduced those who were from his office. And the business leader remarked that you have quite a lot of young people on your team. And he was very pleased to see that, because he felt confident that for such a leader as our president, the best legacy that he could leave, or one of the best legacies he could leave, was to impart young people with the knowledge and experience that he has over the years. I mean, I don't know whether currently in Ghana there's anyone that has such an experience as the president, who has lived his life, almost all his life, in public life, in politics, in the struggle for democracy and the rule of law, and also for legal stuff. He's one of the most read lawyers in terms of the cases he's done that have been reported in our books. So with that kind of knowledge, you would expect that, you know, he would nurture a lot of young people, and he continues to do that even as president.
Why do you think he has such a passion for nurturing young people, giving them the platform and the opportunity? Why that passion? Because when we go later into the issues, you realize that he's very, very youth-centered.
Yes.
You work closely with him. Yes. Why is he like that?
Yes, like I indicated earlier on there, he believes that the future of this country is in the hands of young people. And so the best way to ensure that the Ghana project, you know, continues in the way that he has envisioned it is to make sure that young people are included in the shaping of the Ghana project. That way they have first-hand experience of what the project is about and can carry on the mantle when it's handed over to them. I'll tell you one example. There was one very historic thing that we did during the creation of the new regions. It's the first time that has ever been done under our constitutional order, under the 1992 Constitution. Indeed, you know, under a legal process such as this, the first time in this republic that has been done. When we were putting together the documentation and the necessary constitutional instruments that will give effect to the creation of the new regions, I was having a conversation with him once upon a time, and I said to him that all of this is very new. There isn't a precedent anywhere that we can go and take and look at and model whatever we're doing after. And then he said to me that, yes, you know, and you're standing right in the middle of history. And that some of these things that we're doing, we're not doing it just for today, but we're doing it for 30 years,
the next
generations to come.
Okay. Right.
So it's, for him, it's important that, you know, young people who are going to carry on his legacy are involved in the shaping of the policies and the programs that he has for the country.
Thank you. So, Kosi, let me come to you. It is trite knowledge that when it comes to provision of jobs under the John Dramani Mahama administration, he performed abysmally. 2016, our manifesto, an agenda
for jobs,
creating equal opportunity and prosperity for all. Share with us some of the opportunities in terms of jobs that this government have been able to provide for the youth of this country.
Okay, so one of the things that we quickly had to do coming into 2016, after winning the election in 2016, was to fix the economy. Don't forget that we're in an IMF program that the former candidate had placed us in, so there was a freeze in hiring in the public sector. So coming into power, it was a problem. You cannot create jobs if you have a poor economy, if you have a mismanaged economy. So we quickly had to put what was necessary to get it right. And in doing that, the president realized that, you know what, we need to find a short-term solution to this, and that was how NAPCO was created. If you will take note, NAPCO wasn't in our manifesto. It was something that we had to be creative about. In so doing, we generated 100,000 jobs. And if you would recall, when NAPCO was launched, the very front of the march of the inauguration were known NDC members who had proudly signed up to be beneficiaries of NAPCO. Now, the president, beyond that, also realized that beyond putting this measure in place, we need to make sure that we roll out policies that would open up the economy. After pulling us out of the IMF program, we duly launched 1D1F, Planting for Food and Jobs, and other policies you're very well aware of that have created opportunities for young people to go into. And beyond that, besides fending for themselves, they've also created opportunities for other people. As we sit here, when we launched our manifesto, we captured 2 million jobs created, both in
2,055,010.
Beautiful. So 2,055,010, and this is just in the first term. And these are not just jobs that are not like NAPCO-like. These are real opportunities that are helping people. Now, even though our new manifesto doesn't talk about jobs, it's still specific on 3 things: that leadership of service, transforming Ghana for all, which is very important, and protecting our progress. What is the progress? That we have fixed the economy. Despite the ravishing effects of COVID-19, we're still on a trajectory of improving. And when we say protecting our progress, that is why we're going to December polls to ask for Ghanaians to renew our mandate, because even the first 4 years, we fixed the economy, come out of the IMF, whilst generating 2,055,000 jobs. You can only imagine what would happen in our next term. It means that we're going to birth new opportunities for Ghanaian youth and Ghanaians at large.
So, Kwao, let me ask this, because sometimes I want to try and psychoanalyze the president in terms of his implementational policy.
That'll be a very difficult job.
Let's try. You are close to. So, we talk about provision of jobs. Our numbers looks good. Do you think when the president sits in the office, he feels he has done enough, or there's more that he's capable of doing? That's why he's asking for more?
Oh, I mean, there can never be enough until every single person is employed and has, a meaningful job or is engaged in some form of business that generates income. The president thinks that he has more room to be able to create more jobs. If I can just try and break down, what's like.
Sure.
Cozy mentioned the transformation, agenda for all. If you look, you need to look at Akufo-Addo's policies from a global perspective. When he's talking about transforming Ghana, okay, it's not just about, transforming a certain sector or a particular region or so on and so forth, but it's a whole agenda, and everything that he does is connected to each other. So, for instance, the different pillars in his transformation agenda. The free SHS policy, for instance, is a key pillar in the transformation agenda. You need an educated workforce to be able to drive industrialization. So the basic sort of education qualification, which is after senior high school, is needed to have the basics. Because you don't want to create a situation where you create such an industrialized nation, and then you have to import skilled labor from elsewhere. It's happened elsewhere in the world where they hurriedly created an industrialized nation, and then you had people coming in with skilled labor. Even in Africa, there are examples. So the free SHS is there to make sure that the youth of Ghana, by the time this nation has gotten to the point where it's so industrialized, they would be the ones to take up the jobs, because they'll have the basic qualification. And then you have this, the one district, one factory thing, policy. It's not something that you think of when you pull out of a hat and decide to run with it. It's deliberate. Okay, we need to add value, move from a certain kind of economy that we had, to a more industrialized economy. Now you're going to have these factories. How are you going to feed the factories? You need to have the raw materials. That is why he also he did the policy of the planting for food and jobs. That's another pillar. Now, when you're doing all of these things, you want to make sure that you have a financial market or a financial services industry that can support the businesses that are engaged in this industrialization agenda. So he cleaned up the financial sector, and now we have one of the most robust financial sectors in Ghana.
In fact, in West Africa.
In West Africa, even on the continent. Our central bank governor, got an award for that. And there's an agenda to drive Ghana forward as a financial hub of West Africa at the very least. You see, so Ghanaians and young people need to see it from a global picture, because the investors see it, which is why they come here and they're rushing to invest in Ghana. Why would Ghana, with an economy smaller than Nigeria, have more foreign direct investment than Nigeria? Because they see it. You see what I'm saying? So all these policies, fit into a global picture. And if you look at the global picture is to make sure that for generations, there'll be jobs for young people after they finish school.
You see, talking about jobs, all these things that we have said, and I think many more that we can say, yet our friends on the other side, the NDC, ridiculed NAPCO. They sometimes even say it's not sustainable and all of that. So let's look at it from a political and partisan point of view. What do you think the ordinary Ghanaian who wants to go to the polls on December 7th, you know, his mindset, okay, these people are saying even the NAPCO cry is not sustainable. These people are saying it's a good thing. What would you tell that young person?
You know, our friends on the other side, I would say that their vision is sort of short. You know, because they were faced with a situation. There was a high rate of unemployment in this country. It was a challenge. What did they do? They folded their arms and said, we're not magicians. In fact, that's what their leader said, that he's not a magician.
You mean John Dramani Mahama?
John Dramani Mahama. He was not a magician to create jobs. Akufo-Addo comes in, he sees the situation and says, no, we'll think of innovative and creative ways to make sure that graduates have an opportunity to work after university. Now, if you're looking for unemployed graduates, you wouldn't find them because they're busy, you know, working. And the thing with NAPCO is that it gives them experience in the public sector, to the extent that with all the projects and all the transformation agenda that the president has, you would need these people to be absorbed into the sector at some point in time. And you want to make sure that they have the skills, they have the exposure, they have the experience in that sector to be able to handle the roles that are given to them. My advice to the youth on NAPCO, on what our opponents are saying, that it's not permanent, it will be cancelled,
okay,
it will be shortcut, is simply this. This is a man who was able to create something out of nothing, as opposed to a man who folded his arms and said that he can't help because he's not a magician.
Okay.
These are the two choices you're faced with. The one who is able to create and the one who folds his arms.
Okay, let me go to you, Kosi. When it comes to human development, we are well aware that the former president said, Ghanaians do not have the skills to be employed into the mainstream, to the extent that even the former Youth and Sports Minister, Rashid Pepo, and the Minister of State in charge of, you know, public and private partnership, said that, you know, the youth should go out there, cut grasses and all of that. When it comes to human development, you work with an authority that is, you know, helping young people. What do you think the president has done, the MPP government has done, in terms of developing our human capacity as youth?
Okay, so when it comes to the president's vision, undoubtedly he's unmatched when it comes to vision. I'm saying this because what we often see, despite having free SHS, let me add that we also have free TVET, which in terms of the capacity or training required for TVET, you have youth or individuals who have skills that can readily support them in terms of providing food on the table, on engaging in any productive activity. Now, what we also need to realize that beyond the National Youth Authority, there are other agencies like the Youth Employment Agency. You also have NEIP. And NEIP in the last 4 years has done some incredible work. I'll tell you that when the NEIP was, when John Kuma took over in 2016, it was formerly YES. He will tell you that in their handing over note, they had only created 66 businesses in 4 years.
You mean 66?
Exactly, 66 businesses. Now, under his watch, he's created over 3,000. Okay, equipping individuals with startup funding and also advisory services to help them get their businesses off the ground. They've also trained over 9,000 youth in business. Now, that is just one agency, and imagine that impact where these youth go into start their own businesses and also generate opportunities for others. Now, beyond that, we also need to realize something that when you ask Cole was saying that the president's vision is not just for the optics. He genuinely cares about liberating the youth. And you have to also be mindful that young people, when they're around you, they have ideas that will not just pop into your head. So any older person who surrounds himself with young people is really smart, because a young person is innovative and creative and will spot the problem before you might just see it. older people certainly have the experience, but tapping into youthful exuberance is often quite beneficial. Now, I just want to backtrack a bit to the question you asked about what the youth should look out for. And I'll say that when it comes to December 7th, in terms of leadership, you clearly need to look at character. Akufo-Addo preached free SHS. He was rejected. Okay. Imagine what Ghana would have benefited from in 2008 when, if Akufo-Addo had been voted into power, we would have had over 4.8 million children duly educated with a better chance at life. We currently have Nana Akufo-Addo, who has clearly delivered on his promise. Okay, it's been great leadership, it's been good policies, and most importantly, it's been kept promises. We campaign on a manifesto. We've delivered 78% of that, and I feel that is very critical for young people, because young people love to hold people accountable. All right, now you come back to a candidate who has sat on the seat, okay, has been at the head of the table, and we go back to what he said. Run up to 2016 elections, he said he won't restore nursing, teachers and nursing training allowances, even if it cost him the election.
And it cost him.
And it cost him. Now he says, I won't cancel the allowances. Same person says free SHS is not possible. There are several videos of him. Yesterday we saw it. Several videos.
He will come into free SHS as a major topic.
I'm just letting you know his inconsistencies. Now he's saying that I won't cancel free SHS. And even just yesterday, he's talking about he started it. He's talked about cordially mentioning, I'm not a magician to provide jobs. Now he's telling us he'll create 1 million jobs. Guess what? To create jobs, you need to be a manager, a great manager of the economy. He does not have a record of maintaining or managing an economy well, if at all anything. There's nothing you can give to him as a record, but being inconsistent and being flip-flopping, if I should say. You come back to no government can put money in your pocket. He's now saying government can put money in your pocket. We'll pay money to funds of people, the banking sector cleanup. Don't forget, he supervised the downward turn of that.
He even acknowledged it in his State of the Nation.
Exactly. Now he's saying that he never said he'll pay them back. He's even gone specifically to say that he never said he'll pay Men's Gold customers. So when
even his communication director had admitted that you were going to pay the Men's Gold customers.
Now, in digging at the president, he mentioned that Nana Akufo-Addo should stop making things free. Don't forget what former President John Kufuor said. He said we are capitalists with a conscience. Ideally, we shouldn't be thinking about social interventions. If for anything, a social democratic party should embrace and clap for us when we think of these things, because it ropes in the vulnerable, the less fortunate who didn't have the opportunity. Every time the NPP puts a policy that embraces the less fortunate or vulnerable, the Social Democrats, that's the NDC, scoffs and mocks it and pays good money to run advertisements against it. We have said we'll do it, and we have a track record of doing it. Going into 2020, December 7th, what we need to be mindful of is who says it and delivers, and who doesn't take us for granted.
Thank you. So, Archibald Frimpong from Jubilee House says, under President Nana Akufo-Addo, secondary education is free for one and free for all. Today, those dreams have been resurrected and a brighter future is in view. Free SHS. So, Cole, let me ask you this. The opposition is saying, as part of their mitigating factors to solving unemployment among the youth in this country, they will make sure Okada, is legalized or regularized. There are some who are saying, okay, if we are not interested in that because we think, there's another alternative. So can you share with us, what would be the alternative for people, not just like Okada, rather, people who probably, for one reason or the other, couldn't make it to secondary school or even GHS, those young people who are out there on the street and need a job and can't go into the office, can be part of the NACO programs and all of that. What would you tell those people?
So I would add my voice to that of Akosia about the provision of jobs is a direct result of prudent management of our economy resources. If you could not manage the economy and the resources that you had at your disposal, having been the most fortunate head of state.
Why do you say that?
Because he had oil. He had so much money bequeathed to him, and so on and so forth. But yet, you had to take us into IMF.
For a bailout.
For a bailout. And we
for
were
policy
under,
credibility.
Exactly. And we were under very severe economic pressures. I mean, I was at a program in Oxford, where the professor was making a comparison. At that time, Guyana had struck oil. And his advice to the people from Guyana was that don't make the same mistake that Ghana did. And what was the mistake? The political party that discovered the oil was booted out of office. And the political party that was saying that the oil wasn't even oil, was Adringo or whatever it is. Oil. Absolutely. Came into office. And the way they managed the economy, they sent Ghana a borrowing, resulting in huge debts, to the extent that they couldn't manage the economy again until they went back to the IMF to say, come and help us to manage our economy. That is what happened, And it's the same situation here. Akufo-Addo comes into office with deliberate policies to put Ghana back on its feet, to put the economy back on its feet, and to open it up to be able to create jobs for the people of Ghana. We get out of IMF, and our economy is solid. The Bank of Ghana said that it has bounced back after this COVID period. If we were still under the IMF program, we would be struggling. We would be under austere measures by now, because of the COVID issues. But thankfully, with deliberate policies, creative and innovative minds at the Ministry of Finance, at the Bank of Ghana, and all the other financial related ministries and sectors of our economy, we have been able to get this economy back on track, and it's actually the darling of the Bretton Woods institutions. So it's really about who can manage the economy well so that jobs are created. Because if the economy is managed well on the macro level, businesses are able to create jobs. They're able to employ, they're able to expand, they're able to go for loans, they're able to get credits. They're able to get investors. Investments are coming into the country. All that is creating jobs. Where I sit in the presidency, the letters that come that I get to read. There was one interesting letter that came from a young man who was doing very well in a bank. He had written to the president that, he had received, he had taken inspiration from the president's policy on planting for food and jobs. And as a result of that, he had saved some money. And so he resigned from the bank and then started a farm. Yeah. So he was writing to tell the president that, this is what he's doing. And if there's any assistance the president can give him, the president should do so. And he directed that we should send it to the Ministry of Agriculture so that whatever assistance, the guy, the young man was from the central region somewhere, but I can't remember.
You see, there's something that keeps coming up, because anytime I go to the barber shop, I go to the mechanic shop, I see these young people on the street, and because God being so good and thanks to MPP, we come on TV and they see us. There's one thing that is troubling them. They are concerned if Dumso is possible of coming back. Because if you realize, Dumso affects the youth more than any other age group, because they are those people who are doing the welding, the barbering, and all of that. Can you assure, Akos, the youth of this country, that if they maintain another Akufo-Addo, such things will not happen? Though they've seen 4 years, probably he needed another 4 years, then Dumso will return. You said the president is credible when he promises he's committed to it. Can you assure them that Dumso will not return and that their jobs will not be affected?
Yes, I can assure without a doubt that under Nana Addo Akufo-Addo will never experience Dumso like the likes of John Mahama's administration.
So why Dumso to begin with?
Dumso was, again, mismanagement. Okay. Dumso was a debt situation. And again, we are being told again that he fixed Dumso. the MPB administration came into power to realize that we had excess capacity of power that had been assigned to friends and cronies, okay, in terms of contracts, where we were paying over 40 million, I believe it was, let me get the figure right, probably $40 million for power not being used. And that was a cost to the states. That is what he said he fixed. So we are paying money to companies for power that we are not using. And this is what we had to deal with. And we have now currently paid off that debt. And we're not experiencing doom. So what you'd see are technical challenges every now and then. And sometimes these are communicated. We suffered doomsday for 4+ years. We're giving timeline after timeline of its end. It never manifested. Nana Akufo-Addo told us that doomsday will be a thing of the past. He's delivered on that. Nana Akufo-Addo promised free SHS. He's delivered on that. Nana Akufo-Addo promised one district, one factory. He's delivered on that, and is still delivering on that. And when it comes to 1D1F, honestly, I feel like if governments have been deliberate in making sure that at least 2 factories in all the regions, if that was done, trust me, Frederick would have had better opportunities of engaging the youth and addressing unemployment over the years.
Cool. Before I come to you, Suraj Issa from Kumasi says, ever since NAPCO was introduced, my younger brother got a permanent job at GRA, thanks to Nana Akufo-Addo. I have friends because of social media who are watching from abroad, and they want to know why did the president in 2018, Washington, D.C., the President Club, declared that 2019, the preceding year, will be the year of return in commemoration of 100 years since the first batch of slaves were sent across the Atlantic. Some people want to know, I mean, you know, the slavery took place in some parts of Africa. Why did the president decide that Ghana will be the host of people of African descent?
You know, Ghana is the first to do everything on the continent. We're the big brothers of the continent. But I think that it was a very unique opportunity. You know, our brothers in the diaspora have been having this feeling to want to connect back home, looking for the right opportunity and the right time. The conditions were right, the timing was right, and God ensured that it happened under the leadership of President Akufo-Addo, because he's the leader that can connect. He's the leader that is passionate about the diaspora. You know, Akufo-Addo believes that our brothers and sisters who are in the diaspora are critical parts of our development. Because if you look at the advanced countries, for instance, China and India, their diaspora played a very significant role in where they are now in terms of development. You know, their people went abroad to the United States, to the UK, to Germany, and to other developed countries, and they learned whatever they had to learn, got experience and exposure, but they didn't stay there. You know, they went back to China, they went back to India. So, for instance, I went to school abroad, so I had mates who were from these places. And you find that immediately you're done with school, they work for a few years and they're in a hurry to go back to their country. You know, whereas our African brothers and sisters were in a hurry to find jobs and get their citizenships in these places. The Indians and the Chinese and some other countries were in a hurry to go back because they believed in going back to use the skills that they had acquired abroad to build their economies, to build their nation, to have an impact in their communities. If you look at, you know, and I think when he was in a position, the president was in Houston, and he delivered a speech inviting. I think you were there. You know, he
wanted them to call me Boga.
Inviting our brothers and sisters in the diaspora to come home and invest and do business. Because where they are, they have access to capital, and they have access to investment, and they can, you know, rain their resources, you know, put it together and invest in businesses back home. I think sometime last year I was in Virginia. I spoke at the Action Chapel in Virginia, one of their leadership conferences, and there were people in the diaspora who had businesses in the northern parts of Ghana. Shea butter businesses, and I was amazed at how, you know, they were using their resources there to scale up shea butter businesses in the northern parts of Ghana. You know, so the whole you know, year of return was centered around, you know, bringing our brothers and sisters, inviting them back home, let them have an experience, let them have somewhere they can call home, like where they're from, you know.
Thank you.
And then secondly, beyond the return, was to ensure that we engage them to the extent that they are able to bring business and contribute to our economy.
Good. So, solid and intellectual discussion in the studio. Suman and Akufo-Addo has made justice to the issues on board. Did I hear John Mahama claiming ownership of Free SHS? My goodness. 67 adverts against Free SHS in 2016, press conferences and media engagement against Free SHS even after implementation by President Akufo-Addo. The NDC and Mr. Mahama should be serious in this country. 4 more for Nana is divine. Free SHS is here. Thank you, Mr. President. Jesse Boakon from Mamprobi. We have about 6 minutes to wrap up. But Kosi, on the issue of the year of return, what do you think was the benefit to the youth of this country, the whole year of return? Because unfortunately I was here in Ghana and I experienced it. I don't know about you, but it was a good one.
One of the things that the year of return did was when foreigners came into the country in droves, their interactions with the youth made them realize the potential Ghana had. Most of the youth were looking at, oh, I would love to travel outside. They're like, for what? We want to move here.
True.
So they are seeing Ghana as a golden opportunity, which made them realize the opportunities available here in Ghana. So, we usually say travel and see, which is a good thing. But when you explore, you realize that whatever you see out there, you bring it back home. Those who came made the youth see that, look, stay educated. Your president is making sure that these opportunities are available to you. Seize it, embrace it, and subsequently work hard towards it. So those are the things that you're attended. And I'd also say that young people also started some great businesses during the year of return. Some set up catering services, supplying food. Some also started doing services of running groceries and drinks, and also all manner of things that they were doing for our tourists, more or less, that came in. And I think that it was such a great time. It's unfortunate that COVID happened, because I could have guaranteed that our borders would have been flooded by now, would have been seen.
Do you know what? I was in the New York, consulate, and when you go to downstairs where we process the visas and all of that, and you see the number of people
that were coming,
who were there. I have pictures to just take visas and come to Ghana. Would you want to take a bite on the benefit that we derive from the year of return, especially among the youth?
I think that Coach is absolutely right. It really inspired young people in Ghana. For young people, one of the key things that they're concerned about is entertainment. And so, for them to see these big stars from Hollywood and from the American music industry, all of them coming into Ghana, it was exciting. It was an exhilarating experience for them. And I think that it also motivated them to want to work hard, to want to stay committed to their country, that if indeed all these people have decided to come to Ghana, and in some cases not Nigeria or some other place, in Africa, then there must be something good in Ghana that they're coming to. So I think that it really had a positive impact on the young people. And So,
Kosi, Free SHS, we've been mentioning it. I want us to deal with Free SHS for the next 5 minutes. People like me, including myself, I was born in a Zongo. I recall living in a room of 10 people in a single room with my parents. But for education, I don't think I would be here, even able to speak good English and all of that. So lately we've heard somebody said, the former president, he introduced Free SHS and all of that. These inconsistencies and the confusions, do you think it will have any impact on the minds of the young people out there? Because from what is going on, do they appear to be confused about who implemented it and who can do it better and all of that?
Frederick, if you paid any attention to the news yesterday, you realized that a conversation brewed on Free SHS and former President John Dramani Mahama saying that he started it. Remember what we said? Do you remember when we were kids in school? When a friend copies your work, we used to say copy, paste. So yesterday, what that presented was that at best, John Dramani Mahama is a horrible copycat.
Oh.
At worst,
that hurts.
At worst, most people believe he lacks a conscience. He has no empathy or respect for Ghanaians. And on face value, he's just looking to settle a score, having been kicked out when he least expected it. Now, we need to realize that what he even believed as vice president, as his vision for the youth, is different from what he believed in 2012, is different from what he believes in 2016, and is even different from what he believed 2 weeks before the launch of their own manifesto. He cannot be trusted, he's not consistent, he has no vision, he's not committed, he's only chasing this dream just because people are fueling his ego. If he had trusted advisors around him, if he had even spoken to young people around him, they might have told him, sir, don't talk about free SHS.
Cool, 30 seconds, just 30 seconds, on free SHS and the inconsistencies of John Dramani Mahama.
Yeah, Cozy have said it all. I mean, I put up a post on my Facebook this morning, you know. It just shows a man who lacks integrity. You don't lie about this. I mean, you have been...
The evidence is there.
Yeah, you've been consistently arguing, even as recent as October. You were against free SHS. You know, and said that, you know, it was President Akufo-Addo's legacy and the one thing that he can campaign on. So why do you then change your mind?
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have been wonderfully joined, or we were joined by Akufo-Addo, who is the Deputy CEO of National Youth Authority, and Caucus, who is the Assistant Secretary and Legal Advisor to the President. My name is Frederick Kofi-Amiao. We all know that December 7th, we have a decision to make. On that ballot paper, you see free SHS. On that ballot paper, you see an individual who is not credible. Join us next week, and we bring you Majority Caucus once again. Thank you for staying tuned.